Hey, it's that time again. Time for another episode of Shelve It or Shove It, the completely superficial way to pick books for your TBR based solely on their covers. I'm your hostess, Daisy X Machina, the drag queen detective who investigates all things speculative in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. If you haven't seen this game before, I go on to Goodreads new releases, pick books in July to add one book to my TBR, again, based solely on their covers. So let's get started with science fiction. First up, we have One Yellow Eye by Lee Radford. I don't know this author. I like the artwork. I think this artwork's really intriguing. This person's head is kind of turned and we see this internal something. It looks like tentacles. I'm not sure what's going on here. And that's kind of the problem. I really don't know what type of science fiction this is. Oh, I guess it's a snake coming out of this person's head. One yellow eye. I don't know what this could be about. I like the cover, but because I can't figure anything out about what it could be about, I'm going to have to shove it. Next up is Volatile Memory by Seth Hayden. And this is another one where I like the artwork. It looks like this bird's head that's being split apart, and there's a human head underneath it being split apart, and maybe a singularity, or I'm not sure what that little round thing is supposed to represent, and it's in a background of space. I have to guess what this could be about. I mean, since we're in space, it's going to be far, far future, and I'm not sure if this is armor, this bird is armor, or another alien species. I am kind of intrigued. I am intrigued by this one. Has a blurb recommendation by Alex Harrow. You know what? I think I'm going to shelve it. Next up is The Confessions by Paul Bradley Carr. This is science fiction. It's giving me nothing, absolutely nothing. There's a mailbox. It says a novel. It's a very simple cover. I mean, I could see like Stephen King having a cover like this, but you would be buying it for Stephen King. And I'm not familiar with Paul Bradley Carr. This is awful. I don't know what this could be about. I don't know anything about it. I'm going to have to shove it. Next up is Muir Lafferty's Infinite Archive. Oh my goodness, it's another Midsolar Murders. You know, I've loved the first two of these books, and even though we can call it a series, they are standalone mysteries set in the future by this detective person named Viridian, and I will definitely be reading this. Oh my gosh, and there's cats. I just love this retro sort of color blocking. Usually they have like a little wasp in the cover, but this time we have cats. I am definitely going to read this. Usually I don't pick late into a series for Shelve It or Shove It, but because I know these can be read as standalone, I'm going to shelve it. Next up is The Memory Hunters by Mia Say. And I'm not sure what this is. There's definitely flowers. They don't really look like flowers. And there's a stick. They almost look like fungus. And it says, a haunting dystopia that will infect your blood with its hyphae and fruit inside your heart. Okay, so we are talking about some type of fungus. Far future fungus. I don't know about this one. The Memory Hunters. And the title isn't pulling me in either. I'm going to have to Shove it. Oh my gosh, that was our last science fiction. So we're going to move on to fantasy. And first up is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. Best-selling author of The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. So I'm wondering if this is a sequel. And it looks very cozy with this sort of almost cartoony illustration. And I actually like the illustration. But I'm not into romantasy, and I'm getting sort of a cozy romantasy feel for this Witch's Guide. And even though I like the artwork, I like that little fox around the woman's feet. I'm just going to go ahead because I don't think this is the type of book that I'm into. I'm going to have to shove it. Next up is A Resistance of Witches by Morgan Ryan. Another witch book. Witches must be having some type of comeback because we're seeing a lot of novels about them. And this one, there is a moon, crescent, and are those pitcher plants in there? Are they like carnivorous plants? I can't quite figure that out. I think so. Not Venus flytrap, but the other types that, you know, you stick to the stamens or whatever. I think. I'm not quite sure. I'm not really into this one. I'm going to have to shove it. Next up is The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Bridget Knightley. This is obviously going to be romantasy, and it says the best love stories begin with hate at first sight. So you know the trope that's going to be explored here, hate at first sight, and they're obviously going to fall in love. If you like romantasies, this could be right up your alley. And I do like this illustration. I like this woman who is, I guess, telekinesis, this bottle, and the man looks like a warrior, I think, and I like all the images around it, but because I'm just not into romantasies, I'm not going to pick this one up. Maybe for you, though. For me, I'm going to have to shove it. Next up is Rose in Chains by Julie Soto, USA Today bestselling author. There is a lake with still waters, and you know what I'm going to say. I think this is going to be another romantasy. I wish there was a separate category in their new release section. This one says there's a lake with still waters, there's a woman, there's a man behind her. I think I like the last cover better if I was into romantasies, but maybe this is it for you. I do like the illustration. I like the colors of the purple and gold. And you know what I'm going to say. I'm not into romantasy, so I'm going to have to shove it. And finally, in fantasy, Jacid Crown by Sarah Hashem. I am almost positive this is a sequel or part of a series because I've seen this type of cover before by the same author. It's this sort of embossed looking figurines, and I'm not a big fan of this type of artwork. So for that reason, and because I think it's a series, I'm going to have to shove it. Now we move on to horror. And first up is The Butcher's Daughter, the hitherto untold story of Mrs. Lovett by David Demchuk and Corinne Leigh Clark. So you know this is going to be a Sweeney Todd story, and we see this illustration with the bloody hands holding a meat pie. And I'm intrigued by this one. You know, I like the artwork. I'm intrigued about a Sweeney Todd story, but when it comes to horror, I personally prefer supernatural. And maybe there's a supernatural twist to this, but I can't tell by the cover. But because I'm so intrigued, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and shelve it. Next up is The House That Held Her by Ellis Hart. And it's a haunted house, and there's this woman falling down the center. Maybe there's a portal or a very deep basement. And the cover looks a little scuffed up. I think haunted house stories are a little overdone, in my opinion. I seem to see a couple of them every month in Shelve It or Shove It. And this one isn't really grabbing me. So I think I'm going to go ahead and shove it. Next up is O Chica by Carolina Flores Cerchiera. Apologies if I mispronounced it. And again, another haunted house story. But the focus is on this woman carrying a lantern. It looks kind of historical. The haunted house is up on a cliff. And I guess that's a waterfall behind her. And this looks like a painting. I'm getting kind of like a Bronte type feel to this. And it is very gothic. So, again, I'm just not getting hooked by this cover. I think I'm going to have to shove it. Next up is Murderland by Carolyn Greenwald. 4 teens, 1 theme park, 2 bodies, and counting. Now, are the 2 bodies 2 of the 4 teens? I'm not quite clear on that. It does look like a slasher book to me. And again, I'm not into slasher horror. I'm more into supernatural horror. And there's nothing special about this one that's drawing me in. I'm going to have to shove it. And last in horror, and our final book, is Feeders by Matt Serafini. It's a very simple cover, and it looks like a text message. I mean, first one says a novel, which doesn't tell us anything except it's a novel. And the second one is fire, dagger, blood, skull, and then ... someone's replying. Kind of like this cover because it's telling a story. It's telling me these are text messages, and I am kind of thinking this is going to be another slasher because I don't see any supernatural elements. But if I was in a bookstore, I'd probably open it up and thumb through it to see if there are text messages as part of the story, because maybe it's even epistolary. Because you could do an epistolary just with text messages. That would be interesting. I don't hate this cover. Actually, because of the title, Feeders, I'm wondering if this is about vampires. So the title is kind of telling me supernatural vampire type story. And I'm curious about these text messages. Okay, I think I'm going to surprise some people because I'm surprising myself. When I first saw this, I didn't think I was going to do this. But now that I've had time to sort of think about this cover, I am going to shelve it. Okay, so I have shelved True Science Fiction, Volatile Memory by Seth Hayden, and Infinite Archive by Muir Lafferty. I didn't shelve any fantasy because I think most of these are going to be romantasy. Should I give romantasy another shot? Let me know down in the comments, but the last couple I've read just hasn't been for me. And in horror, I did The Butcher's Daughter, the hitherto untold story of Mrs. Lovett by David Demchuk and Corinne Lay Clark, and a little surprise, Feeders by Matt Serafini. So if you saw my 6-month review of the Shelve It or Shove It books, you know I haven't been having a great deal of luck finding good books. So I know this is very predictable, but I'm going to go with Muir Lafferty's Infinite Archive. Now, there's a couple things going on here. The cover I love with the color blocking and the cats. The cats is really sort of almost a deciding factor, but I also have read Midsolar Murder stories before, and I definitely want to read this. The other books, I just don't want to take a chance on. You know? At this point in my reading, I just sort of kind of want something I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy. So there we have it, Infinite Archive. And I will go ahead and read the blurb. Infinite Archive, Midsolar Murders number 3. Amateur sleuth Mallory Viridian has just about got her bearings aboard the space station she calls home, but now the physical embodiment of the internet is on its way and is bringing murder with it. Mallory Viridian has had a quiet few months. Even with the increased influx of humans visiting Station Eternity, she hasn't seen so much as a bar brawl. Used to people dying left and right around her, the lack of murders to solve has left her unexpectedly bored. But humanity's favorite way to waste time is on its way to her sector of the galaxy. The Alexandria, a giant data ship that contains the entire internet from Earth, docks outside the Eternity and offers access to the World Wide Web to anyone on board who's interested, which is exactly when another killer decides to strike. When Mallory finds her book agent dead, she knows she has to work fast to find the murderer. What with alien influencers, a lonely, living, comprehensive internet, and a deadly crime to solve, Mallory has her work cut out for her. Okay, this sounds delightful. I wonder where the cats come in. I'm sure they come in a big way, from the cover at least. And I really recommend Midsolar Murders. You should start with the first one, Station Eternity, to see how Mallory got on the space station and what her deal is. I am very excited to read Infinite Archive. But what about you? What book or books would you have picked based solely on their covers? Let me know down in the comments. And while you're there, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Until we meet again, may all the books you read be blessed.